Hey, Elevate 78, what's up? Surprise! First of all, where am I? Whoa, look at this beautiful fancy place. This is the chapel where they record adult services. You weren't expecting this because normally I'm in the dingy junior high room, and here's a little inside secret. I'm not even in that room. It's a green screen. But today, I'm in the fancy room to illustrate the fact that the Christmas story is actually a story that is full of surprises. Check it out. In Luke chapter 1, an angel appears to a guy named Zechariah and tells him that he's going to have a baby boy who will be a prophet that will go ahead of Jesus. We know him as John the Baptist. But the surprising thing about it is Zechariah is very old, and his wife is very old. So Zechariah questions the angel and says, are you sure? Not sure that I should believe you because I'm an old guy. My wife's an old woman. How can we have a baby? The angel says, well, you doubted God, so guess what? You're not going to be able to speak until the baby's born. Surprise. Second thing, when the baby is born, they expect that the baby will take on a family name because that's how they did it back then. Zechariah says, no. God says his name is going to be John. Second surprise. Then we get to the story of Mary and Joseph and the birth of Jesus. Jesus is born as the king of Israel. But guess what? Surprise, Israel already has a king. It's King Herod. That's why he's a little bit weirded out by the fact that this guy is born the king of the Jews. And he sends the wise men to say, tell me exactly where this kid is, because secretly he wants to kill him. And Mary and Joseph themselves, they're not important people. Jesus isn't born into an important family. We know that because Mary and Joseph, 8 days after Jesus is born, take him to the temple for the purification ritual. And the Old Testament says you're supposed to sacrifice a lamb and then a bird, either a dove or a pigeon. But if you're poor, it's okay. You can just bring 2 sets of birds, which is what the book of Luke says Joseph and Mary do. So the Christmas story, it's full of surprises, but here's the thing. The older you get, there's very little that's surprising to you about the Christmas story. I mean, my kids are just little, and they're already starting to understand it. I can imagine by the time they're 12 or 13 years old, they're going to know that story by heart. They might even be a little bit bored with it. You might even be a little bit bored with the story of Christmas because you've heard it so many times. There's nothing surprising about it at all. And the older you get, sometimes there's no surprises in Christmas at all. Even the gifts that you get. This year, I know everything that I'm getting, which is good because I'm getting the things that I ask for, but there's going to be no surprises about Christmas. So, my friends in Elevate, here's my challenge to you this Christmas season. Dwell on what is surprising about the Christmas story and try to be surprised about it. I know you've heard the story 1,000 times, but the Christmas story truly was a shocking, surprising story, and that's how we should experience it. There's this video series out called The Chosen. Maybe you've watched it, maybe you've heard of it. And there's an episode that's available called The Shepherd, and it's an angle on the Christmas story. Maybe that would get you to think about what a shocking reality was that the birth of Jesus was. Or there's a movie that came out about 10 years ago called The Nativity Story. That can kind of put you in the story as well. Or maybe you just read this story for the Bible, starting from the beginning of Luke chapter 1, and then continuing on, I don't even know how far. You guys remember Nate Carlos? Nate led worship for us outside this fall, and he's been part of the ministry for a long time, but it was in 8th grade that he started reading the Bible, and he never stopped till he'd made it all the way through. Anyhow, you do what you've got to do to get into the surprising reality of the Christmas story this Christmas season. Because here's the biggest surprise of all. The biggest surprise of all is that Jesus, the Lord of the universe, came into the world as a common, ordinary baby, and he came for common, ordinary people, just like you, just like me. Here's what the book of 1 Corinthians says. It says, brothers and sisters, think of what you were when you were called to faith in Jesus. Not many of you were wise by human standards. Not many of you were influential. Not many of you were of noble birth. But God chose the foolish things of the world to shame the wise. God chose the weak things in the world to shame the strong. God chose the lowly things of this world and the despised things and the things that are not to nullify the things that are. Listen, when you're in middle school, you're 12, 13, 14 years old, you're not important in the world. People don't look at you and say, wow, you're so important at that age. No, they say, oh, wait till you grow up. Wait till you graduate high school, get a college degree, get a high-paying job. But here the Bible is saying Jesus came for ordinary people. You ever feel ordinary? You ever feel unimportant? Well, guess what, my friends? You're in luck. You're the exact type of person that Jesus came into the world to walk alongside. And I want you to believe that God can use even you. Yes, that God came even for you. Yes, because here's the reality. You are never going to walk alongside Jesus as a disciple until you can imagine yourself walking alongside Jesus as a disciple. That's the first step. The first step is to believe that God didn't come for the rich and powerful people. I mean, he did come for them, but he also just came for you. And don't let the fact that you feel like you're young and not important and ordinary stand in the way of your relationship with Jesus. Christmas is God's entry into the world for all people, including me, including you, whatever age or stage of life you're at. Jesus wants that relationship with you. Surprising? I hope that's not surprising, but if it is, there you go. That's the surprise of Christmas just for you. Get into the Christmas story this year and discover once again what is so shockingly surprising about it. God is all about you.